is some fun, really interesting looking games here. Of course, I'm very distracted by the Cardinals' possibilities, but I think there are going to be a lot of good games. There have been a lot of fun games every week, it seems like. Real quick, though, week 8, you did better than I did once again. You, I don't know, spoke to angels or something, and they got Washington to make that Hail Mary. So you went 10-4. For anyone who happens to see this, we did not pick the last 2 games, that being Sunday night and Monday night. We just didn't get to those. So this is just 14. But Michael went 10-4, and I went 9-5. I got lucky on the Atlanta over Tampa, but he got, who was it? There was one other one that you had to set you apart over me. You had Washington. Oh, and you had Philly over Cincinnati. I did not think Cincinnati was going to do that badly. So, but
I didn't either.
Yeah. So looking ahead at week 9, we get what should have been a great game right off the bat on Prime Video on Thursday night. The Texans going to the Jets. This is a last chance for the Jets. It's not a bad. I mean, like for what it is, yeah, it's a 6-2 Texans team, but for what it is. There's some actual opportunity here, I think, because the Texans keep losing players. Nico Collins leading the league in receiving yards, and he's down. Oh, well, that's good. I think this is why they went and got Stephon Diggs. Okay, well, he's doing pretty well with them. He's finding his feet there. Oh, and he's down for the year. Joe Mixon's been kind of hit and miss. Their defense has played well, but I don't know that their defense is quite elite, but you certainly can't ignore them, that's for sure. So, Texans Jets here. I'd love to find a way to talk myself into the Jets winning this game, and I do think it can happen. But even with everything I just said, I still will pick the Texans. It just feels like, if nothing else, you've got a dysfunctional organization versus a pretty high-functioning organization right this second. So I'll take the Texans here to win on Thursday night. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, I overall I agree with you. I think Houston will win this one. I do kind of still expect it to be a good game. I don't even know that I would be 100% shocked if the Jets won this one. I just couldn't find a way to talk myself into it, and I sure tried. And you pointed out the things that the things that I kind of thought of, which is, hey, they've had some offensive injuries and all of that. I still think that they've found a way to be a pretty balanced offense. I think Mixon is dangerous, and they utilize him. They've kind of made him a workhorse in there, and I think that takes pressure off of CJ, who has had some odd games lately. So I still think their offense looks pretty good. Like you've said, their defense has probably been better from the beginning of the season than I thought they would be. They may not be elite, but they can sure tire people out. So they definitely showed up in Indianapolis and got some, had a good game. They had a lot of fun there. I don't expect the defense to be as good against the Jets, but the Jets just find ways to lose right now. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I'll take Houston in that game. And then moving towards Sunday morning or afternoon, early afternoon, will be Dallas at Atlanta. My disappointment with Dallas continues. Atlanta has been playing pretty consistently, pretty good football. They just beat Tampa, which is a big game. I'm going to stick with Dallas on this one. They're going to play at home, even though we have been atrocious at home. Eventually, it feels like we have to eventually play a decent game at home. With that being said, I think that Atlanta is playing good football. I'm still not 100% sold on their defense. I'd like to see Dallas run the football some against Atlanta. We'll see if I don't know even really specifically if we will have Dowdle for that game. Obviously, the 2 geriatric running backs that we have been using are probably not going to be able to combine for 25 carries. But if they could, I would go for it. I just want to see them try to do something else to move the ball on that. What do you think about the Dallas game?
Yeah, to your point, I don't know if I misheard you, but it's actually in Atlanta. So your whole playing better away actually works to your favor here. So it's like, hey,
it should.
4-1 away. It's a weird trend to not be able to win at home, but take the wins you can get. So maybe. That all being said, just for the sake of it's a coin toss for me. So just for the sake of diversity here, I'll take the Falcons. I think they're kind of coming into form, broadly speaking. Um,
Yeah.
I think that this could be a good Bijan Robinson game. Again, well, for the reasons we've touched on many times with
Mm-hmm.
Dallas' defense, we'll see. But we'll see. I also think that low key, Atlanta has some defensive pieces that match up well against you. So like they've got like AJ Terrell and the other corner safety that they have, but they Jesse Bates, I believe it is, who are they're pretty decent at slowing down one guy, and that's kind of a Cowboys problem. Now, I don't know that any team can stop a CD Lamb, but slow him down a bit. Yeah, I think they might be able to do that. So I'll take the Falcons here. Um, and it's not quite a Dallas's last chance kind of thing. It's just 3-4, but it does feel like there's some added gravity here. So I think they'll be fighting their guts out. But I think somehow Atlanta pulls away with this one. So we'll see. Um, for the next 1 o'clock game, I've got the Dolphins at the Bills. Um, Dolphins just came off losing to my Cardinals, hooray! But the Bills are they've just been rolling. They seem like they've really mostly caught their feet. Josh Allen finally threw an interception, so that's one. He's just playing impossibly well. The Dolphins have not played the Bills well in recent years. They're just something schematic. It's kind of like the Cardinals trying to play against the Rams. It's just one of those where, for some reason, they're the scissors to our paper or something, and so it should be Bills. I actually think the Dolphins played relatively well against us and are still coming into form. But I'll take the Bills for this game. It's just an unfortunate game, too, for them. So, yeah, when you look at this one, do you see it any different? Or
No, it's another game where I've really tried to look for a reason that Miami could win because of how they did play. I mean, they really did look better. Um, I just I definitely don't know where they're really at. Where is Tua at? I still poor guy. Every time I feel like he's just one hit away all the time. Um, so yeah, in the Bills, like where's the fault? Like where do you find a fault in the way they're playing? The only way I can see them really losing this game is a loss of preparedness. Speaking of preparedness, though, the game they had in Seattle, which I thought that might be a game, was not. I was pretty impressed with the way that they played that game. Obviously, Seattle's missing some key pieces, and they certainly are now, like their wide receiver core. But yeah, it was pretty impressive. There were a lot of penalties in that game. I think there were 24 penalties or something like that. But maybe with some more discipline, I think it was the only like criticism I could find on the Bills. But yeah, I think that'll be a handy win for them. Moving beyond that is a really fun one, which is Cleveland and the Charge. Oh, I'm sorry, I tried to skip them again. Is Las Vegas at Cincinnati? I did try to skip this one. I actually felt like both teams kind of played, well, maybe not Cincinnati, but the Las Vegas actually played an interesting game against the Chiefs. Um, I was shocked that that was a football game. I think Gardner Minshew played a really solid game in that one. Um, I just think that I just don't think they have enough. I think Cincinnati played a very ugly game. I don't appreciate it. In their game against Philadelphia, I was really hoping that they'd be able to be more aggressive. Um, but yeah, I think that I'm going to have to take Cincinnati to win this and that they'll clean up um, some of the mistakes I think they made in their last game and head in and take this one from Las Vegas. What do you think?
yeah, I think the Raiders in particular probably wish you could skip them. That the whole NFL could skip them this week. But yeah, they have a history of playing the Chiefs relatively hard. The last time the Chiefs lost a game was to the Raiders last year. So I'm not super surprised that it was close, but kind of similar to your Dallas game this last weekend. Sorry to bring it up again. It wasn't quite as close as the score implied. I think they scored that last touchdown with like 4 minutes left or something like that. So yeah, they did make it close at the end, but they're still a messed up team. They don't have a quarterback, and again, kind of now similar to the Cowboys, they have one tool outside of the quarterback, and it's Brock Bowers. It's a rookie who you've been very kind with your words towards Trey McBride, and I'm loving Trey McBride, but
Yeah.
he may come in second to Brock Bowers, who looks like an instant phenom. So
Yeah.
good for them. I don't know that he's gotten any end zone much, but maybe at all. But still, he looks great.
He does look good.
And but if they're going against the Bengals, I was surprised the Bengals struggled so badly against the Eagles, but they struggled really badly against the Eagles. I don't anticipate that happening again. It's weird to see a team that's 0-4 at home going against a team that's 1-3 away. I was like, you guys realize that one of you is going to have to win this game, right? Like,
yeah,
just deal with it. So maybe they finally get a home win. Kind of reminds me of the Cowboys in some ways, actually, because they're struggling at home. It's a weird reversal thing. So, yeah, I'll take the Bengals here as well. Keep that passing game working. They're another team that should probably try to look around for something resembling a running back, because I most of the time can't even remember who their running back is. Right the second I'm actually drawing a blank. So maybe going out and trying to get that Giants running back, that Tyrone Tracy guy. I know he's super young, but just get somebody, get anyone in there. Not anyone. Don't want me, but we'll see what they can do moving forward. But I think they can beat the Raiders. Yeah. So the next game, I've got Chargers and Browns, and this was maybe the other game you were saying to just skip past. I think the Chargers, this is the short version. I'll start with the ending here. I think the Chargers should win this game. I think they'll run it down their throat. I do like what Jameis Winston brings to the Browns offense, where he's just going to say, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to throw the ball. I'm going to go down swinging. I may have 150. I don't even know what a lot is anymore. A lot of strikeouts at the end of the year. For a baseball metaphor that I feel that terribly, but but he's going to swing a lot. So we'll see. They play a lot of, they're not even playing like 2 deep. They're playing like 3 deep oftentimes. So he does that, throw the ball deep a lot. It may come back to haunt him. But I think the Chargers are a very solid team. Dobbins should be fed a lot. And I'll take I'll take the Chargers here. And we'll see if they can get one of my other young, bright stars that I really like out of Georgia, Ladd McConkey, involved as well. I'm liking what he's doing. So, Ladd. What do you see on this one?
Yeah, I mean, they have looked really good. The Chargers, that is, have looked really good, and they've been consistent. The defense showed up. I think they had a good game. There's no arguing that they have been a fairly consistent team week to week, and I appreciate that. Herbert looks good. I think Cleveland's game caught me so off guard against Baltimore. I'm really just stuck on that. Baltimore is one of those who can beat them kind of teams. I was like, wow, what's who's going to really have will Cleveland have the run defense to slow up Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson? And there's so many, coaching questions that I have for any team that has a true running game that just abandons it because they got down. That always is an interesting moment. And that's kind of what it looked like to me happened in that game against Baltimore. Yeah, I would agree with you. You kind of took my words on that one, which is that Winston just came out and said, all right, I'm Ryan Fitzpatrick. That means we go all out all the time. And I hope that's what happened. I hope that's what happens going forward, because you can't go further down. You're 2-6, right? So, yeah, you should be going crazy all the time. Nick's back. It's interesting to see him coming into this game. I'm actually going to pick Cleveland in this game to win. And that's only based on how they played Baltimore. I don't think that the Chargers will be caught off guard the way that Baltimore was, kind of with that approach. I kind of get the feeling that Baltimore thought they were going to kind of dink little passes and go down the field. And I think the Browns were able to make some other things happen. Cedric Tillman had a heck of a game. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm going to take Cleveland in that one. And now another fun one. New England and Tennessee. I mean, the short version of this is that neither one of these teams are good teams. I just think New England has been playing better. I think at this point in time, on an offensive front, for the most part, Tennessee's gotten rid of anybody who's competent, except for maybe Tony Pollard, which I'm kind of still waiting for. Um, and I just think that while they have some positives on defense, I don't. I think New England has a better defense and a more consistent offense. This would have been a no-brainer for me if I knew for certain that Drake was playing. I don't know exactly where he's at, but I think either way, I think they're the better team here. I'll take New England at home, or I'll take New England. They're visiting it.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah, I was just double checking while we were talking there to make sure. It looks like Drake is progressing through the concussion protocol, and there's some optimism, but that's just one of those where it takes
Yeah.
5 days, even if everything goes well. And so we won't know for sure until probably Friday. So we'll see. But I do agree with you there. I think both teams, if that's the case, if he misses it, I think both teams are technically on backups because I think it's Mason Rudolph now in Tennessee.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is it's going to be a little rough, but yeah, I'll follow you here and take New England. I do think they're probably the safer choice, and this will be one of the only weeks where we could say that about New England. But I won't be shocked. Won't be shocked if somehow the Titans pull this one off. But yeah, and again, if Drake May plays, this should be a solid enough win. But otherwise, yeah, it is just going to be what it is. I think with the trade deadline for both of these teams, with the trade deadline coming up a couple of days, I think it's the Tuesday or Wednesday after this coming Sunday. This will be a final chance to. How much are we trading away? Are we just gonna fire sale, or are we just gonna kind of maybe keep some more than that kind of thing? I mean, the Patriots could theoretically think that they're going to make some noise if they go to 3-6. I just don't see it, but who knows? People see different than I do all the time. But it'll be interesting to see how both teams carry this weekend and next. I mean, the Patriots have already offloaded a little bit. Josh Uche, I don't know, I was saying it wrong. Josh Uche went to the Chiefs. They just needed to get so much better. And yeah, so we'll see. I'll take the Patriots here, same as you. So yeah, for the next one, we got a nice little NFC East matchup, which should make you kind of happy because no matter who wins, someone's going to lose, and that'll be good. Commanders Giants. The Giants have been kind of plucky here and there, even with Daniel Jones. It's been good to see Malik Neighbors get back on the field.
Yeah.
The Commanders, in all honesty, should be 5-3, but they got that Hail Mary to go their way, and power to them. I mean, I've been on the Cliff Kingsbury offense-led team where the Hail Mary got you to 6 wins. I kind of worry about the Commanders leaving out the history of what happens after we got to about halfway through the season with him. It's not good. So we'll see if they can correct that trend. But yeah, all that being said, I think this one has to be take Washington. I don't think that the Giants are going to be able to slow down Washington's offense as well as the Bears were able to. So you won't have that last second push. It'll just be a more consistent flow. And I still don't think the Giants can do a whole heck of a lot on offense themselves. And again, similar to your Cowboys. And who else was it we were just talking about? I lost them. The Bengals. The Giants don't seem to have any idea how to win at all. So, yeah, I'll take the Commanders here. What do you see with this one?
Yeah, this is another one where I kind of feel like Washington's a little banged up a little, and so maybe is there a way I can find that New York, can I convince myself that New York can win this one? Again, it's great to see Neighbors back. I didn't feel like he was quite himself yet, or maybe he fit back into the offense in the same extremely dominant way that he had been. But I also feel like the offense has learned to live without him for a couple of weeks, with amazing success, obviously. But, they found other tools to go to. So the real question is, if I'm the Giants, I'm running my offense through their running game. I love Tyrone Tracy Jr. I think that he has been one of the best stories in the NFL, a very quiet story for a fifth round pick. And it's not like every game he's dominant, but they don't really focus or utilize him every game either. I think he's my first go to on offense. And I think that that's going to be very anti what they will actually do. But that's the direction I would go. And I think if they went that direction, I could see them pulling this game off potentially. With that being said, I don't think they're going to do that. I think Washington will come in as long as they prepare and they don't look at this. And you don't, in our division, you don't overlook rivals. So I think that they'll go in and play the game. I expect Washington to win this one fairly handily. If the Giants make it a game, I think that would be a solid sign for them. Otherwise, it'll be interesting to see what they're willing to part with. All right, New Orleans and Carolina. Yeah, boy, they've had some rough games, New Orleans, as they've struggled here in the season. Yeah, they just don't have a lot going. They don't have a lot going in any direction. With that being said, they are playing Carolina, who's never had anything going this season. They've had a couple of moments of maybe we're not completely anemic to, no, we really are. Back and forth. I feel like this team obviously cannot determine what their future is or what their identity is. I think Bryce played the last game and really did not perform particularly well. I guess I'm hoping that he'll make a step, and I think Derek is going to be playing this week, which would make that a better team overall. I'm actually still going to pick Carolina to win this game as like my let's see what happens pick. Some of that's New Orleans has just been so bad these last few weeks, and I think Carolina has done some things better. But I think if Carolina is willing to run the ball, go to Hubbard, see what's going on, then maybe we'll go from there and see where that ends up. What are you willing to take the risk on the New Orleans game?
Not that one. No. Short answer. With
enough.
Derek coming back, and with the Panthers trading away their hypothetical third part of their three-piece attack for offense, Deontay Johnson's now a Raven. All they have now is Chuba Hubbard. I don't even know. I mean, do they still have Adam Thielen? I mean, I'm not even sure who would be catching the ball. He might still be injured. So it's. I just think they're out of tools. I don't think the Panthers' defense is terrible, but if you put them out there on the field, with, chasing a lead for 9 series, I just don't think that they can overcome that. I don't think they have that kind of defense set up right now. So, yeah, this one will be a Saints, not a get right game. I think they could win this that way. I think they're still playing without Chris Olave, and Shaheed. Raheem Shaheed, I think is right. I don't have my brain's melting on that one, but I think they're both still out. But just with what they have, as long as Derek Carr can play and Alvin Kamara can play, I think they'll win this game. And I think Kamara played last week as well. So I'll take the Saints here. I'll be the more boring pick, but yeah, it should be. It could be kind of interesting. I mean, I think it's really only going to be interesting if you're an NFC South fan and really care about what happens with these two teams. But this could also be like, are the Panthers headed towards the number 1 overall pick? So we'll see.
Yes.
For the next one, I've got Broncos and Ravens. I think this is actually a really fun game. You were talking about the Ravens earlier with the Browns, and the Ravens are a great team. They're darn near world beaters. They have one glaring weakness that we've talked about before, and that is that you can pass the ball on them at will. They are, and have been even before that last game, they are the worst pass defense in the NFL yardage-wise, and I think tied for the most receiving touchdowns as well with a couple of other teams, but 17. So their pass defense is atrocious. Um, Now, I don't think the Broncos are exceptional at passing the ball, but I do think that Bo Nix is solid. Like, he's a solid little rookie, and he's got a couple of okay weapons out there. Most people know Cortland Sutton. That's about it. I forget who made that great day of a tight end who made a great catch in the end zone. I've forgotten his name. But they've got a couple of guys, so they should be able to keep this close. However, I do think that Baltimore will be smarter about running the ball here because Derek, it's not like he wasn't productive. He was getting like 7 yards a clip, and then they took the keys out of the ignition for some reason and decided, oh no, we're not going to do that thing that's working incredibly well. So yeah, I think that they will right the ship there. I don't know, the coaches will scream at each other and make sure that that doesn't happen again. I see a rather. I wouldn't really go into spreads very much, but I see the Baltimore's favored by 9.5, and I was like, I don't know if they win by that much. I think Broncos have a solid defense, and their offense is kind of underrated. So I could see them making it closer than that. But Baltimore should win this game. And I expect Derrick Henry to get the full complement, the full arsenal, whatever I can't think of the term of runs here. So I'll take Baltimore to win. But yeah, hopefully that'll be a good matchup. That'll be a good measuring rod for Denver. So what do you think of this?
Yeah, I think it's really exciting actually to be talking about Denver in this kind of context, right? Where it's like, I think at the beginning of the season we expect them to have a good defense, and then every team that's got a rookie quarterback is rolling the dice and seeing where things lie. It's been fun to watch Bo Nix develop. He seems to be getting more refined as the season goes on. He plays. It's like he plays appropriate to the team he's going up against. He goes up against Carolina. He plays really, really well, really clean. Doesn't give the ball away. All of that. Baltimore is a better team in many regards. I think it will be interesting to see how they progress against them. Can they shut down the running attack of Derrick Henry? And also, if Baltimore, like you said, it is so mind-boggling to have those guys on your on your roster and not utilize them in a game like they did last week. I expect that we'll see plenty of them this game. Will Denver be able to stop or just slow down the attack and force the ball back into the air? I'll be interested. I think this is probably one of the best games of the whole week, or should be. I'd be shocked if this was a blowout, either in any direction. With all that being said, I can't root again. I can't. It's not even rooting. It's like I can't pick against Baltimore yet. I think they've just been too good, too consistent, and I think having your money on Derrick Henry right now is a pretty solid bet until he, convinces me otherwise. Moving past this is going to be Jacksonville at Philadelphia. Now, of course, it being Philadelphia, I looked for every reason in the world to pick Jacksonville in this one. And I think there are some reasons to look at Jacksonville. I think they've played some more difficult teams recently and played pretty well against them. I think Trevor Lawrence has looked a lot better. I think overall the team is looking better. The problem for me is that Philadelphia just seems to continue to look more refined as the season goes on. I felt like they played what ended up looking like a really easy game against Cincinnati. I feel like they're looking pretty solid at the moment. So I'll take Philadelphia in that game. Again, I looked for every reason to pick a shocker in that one, but couldn't come up with one. Did you find a reason?
No, kind of like last week. They're different teams, but last week Jags played the Packers, and we talked about how they're a puncher. They've got that puncher's chance of upsetting this team that's clearly better than they are, and they almost did. Like they got really close, but that took them injuring the opposing team's quarterback and them having one of the best games they've had all year. So I don't think both of those things are going to happen 2 weeks in a row, and I certainly don't want it to. It's the Jags are the most dangerous. It's probably I won't even say the best, but they're the most dangerous, like 1 or 2 win team in the country.
Mm-hmm.
and I won't be. I mean, again, I'll join you in taking Philly here. We can both have some like scope after this to wash the taste of that out of our mouth. But they're the better team, and if anything, it looks like they kind of came into form, especially over the course of the last 2 weeks since AJ Brown got back. It's like they managed to get to 3-2, then they got him back, and we're like 4-2. Okay, this feels pretty good. And then last week with Cincinnati, and I really do think Cincinnati's a pretty good team. They just handled them. So it looks like we're catching the Eagles catching their stride. So as much as the Jags may surprise some teams and they may jump up and make this competitive, the Eagles should win. They just look like they're firing on all cylinders right now. So I'll join you in that. So then we've got the Arizona Cardinals hosting the Chicago Bears. The Bears coming off of maybe the most disappointing loss probably that will happen all season to any team. The Hail Mary, of course, with the added drama that happened in that play with the guy who's taunting the fans, and then he happens to be the guy who runs over and bats the ball into the offensive player's hand instead of covering that. It all went bad. Bears fans, if you happen to somehow see this, I'm sorry. As a Cardinals fan, I've been the butt of many jokes. So, yeah, I do feel for you. That's a stinker. I don't think we're the team for y'all to get right on. I think certain things will look better because we really don't have a great defense. I think Caleb's going to have a more prolific game. Washington's defense has played above their better than expected. And while we're playing better than some might have expected for our defense, it's not like the Bears defense. So, someone was talking about the Bears really don't allow much to tight ends, so maybe Trey McBride will get held down. And I was like, I don't think y'all have really been watching it. If I go through who the Bears have played, I'm going to take just a little bit longer on this one. The Bears in order played the Titans, Texans, Colts, Rams, Panthers, Jaguars, Commanders. Now, you could probably name 2 of those tight ends, but I don't even know who some of them are. And I was like, you probably know the Jaguars one, though you may not know he plays. His name is Evan Ingram, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the Washington Commanders, they have Zach Ertz. Everyone knows Zach Ertz. And you might still remember that Dalton Schultz is the Texans guy because you follow Houston a lot. But, Dalton Schultz didn't do much. Evan Ingram, one of the guys that we've actually heard of, had 110 yards or something like that. And Zach Ertz had like 77 off of 7 catches and I think 7 targets. So they do well against tight ends because no one's really with tight end worth mentioning has played against them all that much. And when they have, they've gone off. So I just don't think this is the right matchup for the Bears to get right, and this could continue to fall. They went from about to be 5-2 to quite possibly being 4-4 after this week, and it's a bummer. I still think that team is ahead of schedule in a lot of ways. I know some people thought they were going to go like 12-5 this year. I just thought that was ridiculous, but I actually think we're the right kind of team to play them, particularly on what we do on offense, because we're not a 3-tool team offensively. When things are working relatively well, we're actually a 4-tool team because we've got Connor, we've got Trey McBride. When Marvin's working, he's doing really well. The way we're able to be that is because we've got 2 of those guys for really cheap. And James Conner's not the most expensive running back in the world either, but he's earning every cent of that contract. So, I don't think we're the right team for the Bears. And on top of that, for whatever this matters, the Bears have not played well away. They haven't won an away game yet. So I will, with actually a slight amount of confidence, and I may live to regret that, I'll pick the Cardinals to win this one. What do you think about this one?
I think that we're going to end up on the same page on this one overall. I think Chicago's defense, again, is enviable. As a Dallas Cowboy fan, it's beautiful. It's a thing of beauty. But with that being said, if I were Arizona's defense heading into this game, I'd be looking to limit their run game and force Caleb to beat me. On offense, I would just be looking for guys. We're not dropping the ball. We're not going to have interceptions, Kyler. Just play safe, play smart, I think they'll come out on top. I just think that for if nothing else, the balance of the offense as you just described is way more consistent on Arizona than it is on Chicago. And I think that when playing behind, I think Caleb will try to force things. I think he will potentially make the mistake that is the difference maker. I think it should be a good game though. I don't know that I think Arizona is going to win by 3 scores or anything, but I think it'll be a good game. I expect it to be. Looking forward to that one. But I will take Arizona in that one. This next game probably will be a really great game, which is Detroit at Green Bay. I think the big question right now is just how healthy is Jordan Love? Um, Malik came in, and right now, full disclosure, I love Malik. So Malik Willis is a person that I really enjoy. I'm pretty amazed by what he's already pulled off this season. Green Bay, Green Bay's had a great season so far, but what is it? 3 of their wins were brought to them via Malik, and I don't just mean that he held onto the ball and got them to the finish line. They needed him to throw a touchdown to win. So, I don't know that there's really a huge drop off per se. I think it'll be a slightly different strategy, but yeah, I think it'll be an interesting game one way or the other between Green Bay and Detroit. Detroit just looks like they're running on all cylinders right now. They can't do any wrong. As much as I want to take Green Bay, regardless whoever the quarterback is, my question is, can their defense hold? I don't know that they will against Detroit. I think that I'll stick with the safe bet on this one, and what I feel like is the safe bet, and go with Detroit. Where are you on this one?
Similar. Also, similarly impressed with Malik Willis and what he's done there. Like you say, half their wins have come from him. So it is great to see. For me, it further feeds that argument that I've made that as much as I think that Jordan Love is really good, the thing that's truly exceptional there is that offensive line. And yeah, I think they have good wide receivers as well, and Tyler Kraft plays well at tight end, and so on and so forth. Obviously, Josh Jacobs has been good since he got to the league, but they've got great tools around. I really think that not just the figurative, the idealistic cornerstone of that offense is the offensive line, but that's actually the most talented group on that team. And with that being said, we're seeing Malik Willis finally get away from the human Swiss cheese that is the offensive line in Tennessee, and play behind some maybe all pro level guys, certainly an all pro level squad, and he's having some success. So that's great. I think he's embraced the backup role there. He does what he's good at. He does what the team's good at, and he keeps them out of trouble. One thing he probably, I say this carefully so that the cheeseheads don't come out and punch me, is if they're watching, and is that Jordan Love is good enough that he can take some chances and make some exceptional throws. Throws that I don't know that Malik can make, to be honest.
Yeah.
But Jordan will throw some picks too. I think he's tied for the lead in interceptions this year or something like that. And he's only played in like 6 games or something. So 5 or 6 games.
Yeah.
But Malik is like, I'm not throwing that ball into triple coverage. I'm not doing that. So since he plays to their strengths and lets their defense earn their paychecks. And their defense, well, it's not as good as some teams. It is probably between the 8th best defense and the 15th best defense or something like that, just overall. So, yeah, I won't be shocked if the Packers somehow pull this one off. Is it true? I will at least be a little bit surprised, but I won't just be floored. So, yeah, I'll take the Lions right there with you. The Packers have had some close games. I mean, they barely beat Jacksonville. Let's just call it what it is. Last-second field goal. And I know all about teams winning games by last-second field goals and not believing in them too much. Wink, wink. So, yeah, I'll take Detroit here. For the last afternoon game, the Rams at the Seahawks. This looks like a close game when you just glance at it, a 3-4 versus a 4-4. I don't think this is a close game. The Rams are getting right. They've got Puka Nacua back, they've got Cooper Kupp back. Matthew Stafford's still playing, and he seems ready to go, especially when those other two are playing. Their defense has shaken some of the youth off and are now playing at a fairly decent level. Their offensive line seems to have overcome some initial injuries and gotten a little bit healthier, but then also just figured out the new combination and played relatively well. The Seahawks look like they are imploding. That last game against Buffalo, excuse me, not only did they not play particularly well, got completely outclassed, but they were fighting, like throwing punches at each other on the sidelines. I mean, it was just hideous. Gino was tripping over offensive linemen on fourth down. I mean, it was the misinterpreted Murphy's Law kind of thing, right? Anything that can't go wrong will go wrong, and
Right.
it was that, but it felt like it was that at a core kind of level, which as a Cardinals fan makes me insanely happy. And I may be reading too much into it. That's very possible, and it's not like I love the Rams, but I'll definitely pick the Rams here. I think that they're sound right now, and I think that the Seahawks are reeling. Maybe they've magically gotten it right over the course of this week. I would have trusted Pete Carroll to maybe get that accomplished, but this new coaching, I just don't know. So
Yep.
until I see him right the ship once it's been rocked pretty hard, I'm not going to know for sure that he
Mhm.
can. So I'll take the Rams here. Them playing well might have beat the Seahawks anyway. So I'll take the Rams. What do you think on this
Yeah, what a shocker the Rams' last game was. I was shocked by it. Because they looked pretty in control. You see those guys come back from injury, their wide receiver core all come back at the same time, and you're just like, well, they can't be in time, they can't be this, and they can't be that, and they looked very convincing. As you already pointed out, their defense looked good, and they made a very painful loss for Minnesota that they were able to work out. Seattle, yeah, has some real problems. I think you said it best with it, that they are reeling. I think it's an irony, perhaps, that they've kind of switched positions, which is that a week ago, it was, or 2 weeks ago, I should say, it was, the Rams had an injured wide receiver core and like, where are they getting offense from and all that. Now Seattle has Lockett, Fant, and Metcalf that are all questionable to play. That's kind of ironic. So we'll see how they weather that storm. And that's outside of all the, let's say, personalities clashing going on as well. So, obviously this is the moment. This is what you pay your coaches for. This is why you have that head coach. And you expect to see him come in and fix those problems in whatever way he finds suitable. So I guess we'll learn a lot about Seattle, I think, in this next game about playing through adversity and what kind of coaching staff they really do have and how that all works out. With all that being said, I will take the Rams. It just pains me too much to take Seattle. I think this one will be kind of close. I expect it to be kind of close. I do think the coaching staff will solve some of the personality problems and all that. I think this one will be close, but I just can't bring myself to go for the old Seattle on this one. Which brings us to Indianapolis and Minnesota, which again should be another pretty good game, I think. Minnesota, of course, as we just discussed, is coming off the fun game to the Rams. I think that they're still a very good team. They just nothing. I feel like it seemed like nothing went right in the second half for Minnesota. The first half was okay. Second half, just everything fell apart. So similarly, will they be ready and right to play against Indianapolis? Obviously, Indianapolis is going to be resting Richardson, so it'll be Flacco, right? So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I'm going to take Minnesota to win that. I think there's too many moving parts on Indianapolis. With that being said, I think Indianapolis is a good team and should make this a interesting game, but I expect Minnesota to pull this one out at home, I believe so, yeah. And you?
Yeah. Similarly, it's interesting how the Colts are. How did you put it? Resting Anthony Richardson. That's a good choice of words.
I try.
it's honestly, they probably beat Houston with Joe Flacco, which is really sad to say. But
Yeah.
tired or not, he wasn't really playing particularly well. He does the deep ball really really well, but he
Yep.
can't throw from me to my television. For those of you wondering, my TV is 20 feet away, so it's a little rough. He was one of the most exciting players for me to watch coming into the season. I can't even tell you how
Yeah.
disappointed I am. I was talking to my Colts fan buddy at work about it, and I came to this kind of hypothetical. It's not really a conclusion, but it's what I think might be happening. Is the NFL changed to everyone playing this too high or too deep safety looks all the time at the worst possible time for one Anthony Richardson. I think that if we were still in the NFL of 2019 and 2020 minus COVID, I think he might be doing better. This run and gun thing style that he has might be more functional then, but now you don't need a running quarterback. You need a pocket quarterback who can run. Lamar Jackson has embraced this. That 5 touchdown game he had a couple weeks back. That was 5,
Mm-hmm.
I think, almost all pocket thrown touchdowns.
Yep.
He has embraced this. I think he needs to do so as well in Indianapolis with Anthony Richardson. So we'll see what they do. The interview I saw with him briefly, he seemed like he was taking it in stride, taking it like a pro should take it. So that's great credit to him. And as much as I don't think that Joe Flacco is going to lead them to the Super Bowl, he's probably a better quarterback right now than Anthony Richardson. Without even taking into account, he doesn't put himself in harm's way all the time. He doesn't. Yeah, he's probably a better quarterback right now. I think the new NFL, the aforementioned new NFL, which looks a lot like a much older NFL, really favors his skill set. So that's great, and that should allow them to keep this game close, but probably still lose. So I'll also take Minnesota. I can see myself, taking Indianapolis. I think this is pretty close, but I think Minnesota kind of got ripped off, kind of like what almost happened to Sam Darnold's helmet in that last game, and I could definitely see them getting right this week and playing really well. It's a home game. They tend to actually play fairly well at home, so I could see that happening. Which will be it should be a decent Sunday night football game. So that'll be exciting. Then to close out the week, Monday night, we've got the Buccaneers at the Chiefs. The Chiefs are getting better, which is weird. So they added Josh O'Shea, they added DeAndre Hopkins, who's actually played there one game now. He didn't do a whole lot in the first game. Has he been there for 2 games or just one? I think it's just one. And he didn't do a whole lot, but the plays they made with him were plays. When I saw him play in Arizona, I was like, yeah, this is the kind of thing he does really well. Timing routes where he turns around, the ball's already headed towards him, but he has hands made out of something really sticky, and he's just going to catch it. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Josh O'Shea is not a huge ad, but he's a nice complementary piece to an already dominant defense. On the other side of that, the Buccaneers could theoretically, I believe, get Mike Evans back. You can follow up on that if you know more. But even without him, they're still passing the ball at an incredible rate. So I think that there are traces of Bruce Arians' old system there in Tampa Bay, and I think that system is going to thrive. I think people should be going out in this next offseason and looking for people who run the Bruce Arians system. Maybe Bruce Arians himself, if he wants to come back, and run it, because I think that pocket quarterback thing is going to be huge. If you got Baker Mayfield on pace for 45 touchdowns, just think of what Aaron Rodgers could do in it, or fill in the blank. So that all being said, I think the Bucs are a bit too injured, and the Chiefs are looking pretty sharp. And as much as they've toyed with losing several weeks now, the Chiefs, they should still win this game. I'd love to see the Bucs get an upset. It'd be great to put them back on the map after a disappointing few weeks with injuries and such. But I just think the Chiefs are going to be too much. So I'll take the Chiefs. And who shall you take?
um, this one's a tough one. This should be such a good game. I guess really should be such a good game. If it weren't for the injuries on the Tampa Bay side, every team has injuries at this point in the season, and it's just kind of a question of like, well, what have you got and what don't you? And maybe Mike plays. But yeah, with Godwin out and all of that, and the team's gonna have to adjust. Like it's gonna be next man up, and whoever it is gonna have to step up and become a dominant person. Earlier, you were mentioning, I think Jacksonville. We were talking about how of the 1 and 2 kind of win teams, they're the most dangerous. Right now, Baker Mayfield looks like the most dangerous quarterback in the league. If Baker's on, he looks unstoppable. He looks incredible. He doesn't always look on, that's for sure, and he has gotten more consistent. But right now, I feel like he's looking a little bit like he's trying to force things a bit, which I think may account for a few of the interceptions. I think as the season's gone on, we've seen more interceptions out of him. I just don't want to see him force things, especially if Mike's not playing. How does he progress down the field? How does he get in the end zone? I would not be shocked to see him try to force things, but he looks really good. The Chiefs always find a way to win, obviously, very literally. But they've had a number of close games. Kelsey looked maybe the best that he has this season, I think, in this last game, and they needed him. I just, Las Vegas is not an impressive win to walk away from and be coming into this game with. Whereas Tampa Bay, even with the challenges that they have, their game against Atlanta was competitive. They were close. I really wanted to find a way to take Tampa Bay in this game. I just think with the amount of injuries in their wide receiver core, I just couldn't do it. With that being said, I think this will be a competitive game. I would not be shocked if Tampa Bay walks out of there handing Kansas their first loss this season. And frankly, I'd be happy if they did. I find myself becoming more and more of a Baker Mayfield fan, which is amazing because when he entered the league, I was the opposite of a fan of his. But to watch kind of him develop into the quarterback and really just the all-around player that he has been a lot of fun. So I think that'll be a great way to end the week on that game. There's a lot of great matchups this week. I don't think I'm going to get to watch all of them when they're on initially, but I look forward to catching up on all of them here next week.